So much went down on Suits tonight. We're going to talk a lot about Lewis and all the other characters. Come on with us.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Apparently, I have to get better at my shoulder.
I think what would help is if you put your hands on the table.
Oh, it gives you balance.
Ooh, okay.
See?
We can try that out.
You got
I feel
it.
like just a full deep tissue massage would really
You know,
get me
I
there.
just got a massage, so I feel like my range is better.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Suits After Show here on AfterBuzz TV, Season 7, Episode 14, Pulling the Goalie. I'm your host, Steve Kaufmann. You can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That is K-A-U-F-M-A-N-N. We're not supposed to be doing that anymore, but old habits die.
Strike out,
Totally.
two strikes.
Suck it in.
It's my
I
first strike.
wasn't here last
He's,
week,
uh,
and
It's
I
my
remember
first
you
strike.
doing it.
Shameless plug.
You striked
It's all
last
good.
week, too.
Oh, yeah, that probably happened last week as well. I'm still speaking in my clear, cool voice, but the voices that have not introduced themselves, Lina Noory to my immediate left, and JB Zimmerman to her immediate left.
Hello. Yeah, we've got full panel strength right
We are
now.
full
Yes.
strength
Pretty
as a
excited.
panel. I apologize for putting myself over one more time than I should have. But how are we feeling about this episode?
Oh my God, Lewis
Pretty
lit
good.
for the win.
Pretty good. Yeah,
Yes.
This is like the biggest Lewis victory I feel like that there's
Ever.
been.
Ever.
Like he won so many times over. Like it was just like a.
Okay, first off, I love this episode. Second
Yeah.
off, I'm outvoted. You guys think this is a win for Lewis?
Absolutely. Listen, I know, so we had divulged into a mini intro conversation
Of course
before
we
the
did.
after show started. It's a win for me because not only did he at least get what he wanted, not that Sheila is a prize or that he doesn't deserve better, but that he put himself in a position where he took the high ground. Yes, he had made bad decisions. I don't agree with my personal thing is I don't agree with him having an affair with someone that's getting married. I don't think it was the right thing to do. But the fact that at the end, he took Dr. Lipschutz's advice, didn't put Sheila in a compromising position, took the high road, didn't take him to court. I just feel like that is a win for Lewis Litt. He got 2 big wins in this episode.
All right.
Yeah,
JB.
I mean, I feel like he just won at everything he sought out to do, and that's
Yeah.
why I feel like it's a Lewis win. Aside from how we feel about Sheila as like a human being or whatever she is, because you know, obviously she is someone who's totally fine with adultery, so there's something to be said about that. But I just really like how everything Lewis tried to do, he nailed. Like he was starting like on this like very uneasy ledge basically when the episode started, and he came from that meeting of Sheila's fiance to a place where he like proved himself the better man.
All right, here's
on
my
so many
first.
different
Here's my first
things.
problem.
Okay.
He picked a fight with Xander. He
did,
should
he
not
did.
have picked a
I
fight
agree.
with Xander. However, the second he picked a fight with Xander, it is his professional duty to follow through and get a $50 million settlement that he earned. In my opinion, that would have been the better self-actualized person to be like, you know what? I picked a fight with Xander because I'm still not over Sheila.
Right.
But I'm getting over Sheila, and part of me getting over Sheila is to not do what she asks of me. Is to
True,
not
but I mean,
go back with her to... Oh, I have so many things.
I feel like I get where, I mean, he officially started the legal proceedings, so that is more aggressive, but Xander is just a bad dude
But
that like
he's-
needs to be taken down a peg. And I think, even in the last episode, he was talking smack on Lewis. Like he didn't know that he could hear him.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, like the guy is
But he's a bad dude who, Sheila, can we argue, worse. Being cheatable is different from being cheated on.
Okay, Sheila's character, if we put that aside, right? Obviously, I don't think she has good character. Just the
I think
fact
we can
that
all
she-
agree.
Yeah.
We're on the same
And
page with that.
aside from, it's not just a cheating thing. She was stringing Lewis along. She knows that Lewis, to him, it just wasn't a hookup. That there was feelings involved. That he wanted more. Therefore, it's above and beyond the actual physical act. She was puppeting Lewis.
Yeah.
Which I don't agree with. So just Sheila aside, and we're talking about Lewis and why I think it was a win, and in regards to this case, correct. He should have seen it all the way through. If we're looking at it just in a literal perspective of business wise, he should have taken the $50 million because that is what was agreed upon. Correct. Mm-hmm. He in the end
Because being the bigger man is to not pick the fight.
but ultimately, he still won the client money. And what I'm saying was the victory is that he still was Lewis lit in his Lewis lit ways, but ultimately, he didn't follow through with being the vindictive guy. Like, that guy hit below the belt. He said, I got your girl. In 50 years, she's going to be thinking about me and not about you. He even envisioned himself telling him,
he was
hey,
pushing
I
Lewis's
slept with your
buttons
woman.
constantly. So like I get that. Yes, I
But
guess the
being
biggest
a bad
man.
dude, being a bad dude is different from being cheated on.
Right. I mean, I feel like okay. So if we're talking like in extremes, Lewis shouldn't have even put himself in this position.
That was where.
But like now that he was and he is Lewis
Yes.
again, like think back to the Lewis we've had in the past, for him to have such control over what he's doing, because like he ramps up at, like on a dime.
But this didn't feel like
literally.
this didn't feel like control to me. Is I guess where I'm struggling, because this felt like he picked a fight with Xander. Midway through, Sheila told him to stop, and then he stopped. That didn't feel like control to me. That felt like Sheila controlled him.
No, I mean
the entire way.
I think it was, or to me, it was sort of baby steps. We saw that like sort of delusionary moment where he admitted to Xander everything.
Yeah.
So like he kind of held that back, and he was just sort of learning as he went. Like it's classic Lewis, like going way too far, but he was able to reel himself in. I think that's the big difference.
And I think it had less to do with what Sheila said and more to do with what Dr. Lipshut said. Yes, of course, he has respect for her. Like even in the scene where he's sitting across from Xander and Xander's talking about physically, like he used some kind of like analogy of what he's gonna do to Sheila when he gets home. And Lewis is like, don't talk about her like that. He actually, as
Yeah, he was actually talking about a printer.
I mean, if that's a mistress, that's a mister, right? Is that what it is?
Probably.
Mistress?
That's what we're going with.
So
yeah.
whatever, we'll cut as the mister. As the mister, he has more respect for and cares about her more to drop the case. And I actually had a lot of respect for him. He told Harvey, his partner, this is what I'm going to do. And Harvey said, listen, as your business partner, I think it's a terrible idea. But as your friend, I think that sometimes you need to put love ahead of business. It would have been shady if the opportunity, in my opinion, would have happened and he kept it from Harvey. The fact that Harvey also in this episode, we saw that he put his feelings ahead of business as well. I just think in a literal sense, we can't always think that everything is black and white. And I don't think Sheila's a win. My win for me, and I'll repeat this, is that he did stop himself. And I actually am going to give Dr. Lipshut's credit because, first of all, I got so emotional in that scene when he was like, I'm going to drop you. And he's like, you're going to leave me.
He really put the ultimatum out there. I was like, whoa.
And I feel like that resonated with him because he remembers what the doctor said. The doctor says, do not hurt Sheila. Do not get her caught up. And so when he heard Sheila saying, hey, if you don't let this case go, he's going to keep digging and find out what really happened. I think that is more of the reason why he ultimately did what he did. Or maybe, listen, maybe I'm just wishful thinking.
Okay, I understand that, and I think those things separate from each other, you could argue Lewis could have enough sympathy for Sheila. Here's the next part, pulling the goalie.
Okay.
That's a huge breach of trust. That's a huge breach of Lewis's trust, and makes Sheila out to be not a good person.
At all. I wouldn't trust Sheila if I was Lewis.
Wait, what? If you wouldn't mind explaining that a little bit more.
She stopped taking birth control.
Right.
She stopped taking birth control while having, presumably unprotected sex with Lewis, and is now pregnant with his child.
To me, she.
she's pregnant?
To me, she
Is
just
that what she said?
started. Like she like.
No.
is
Did I
telling him
catch it the
now.
wrong? No, as far as I'm aware, she said I threw out my
Right,
diaphragm.
Yeah, but like I did
5 minutes
now.
ago.
No, I took that to mean she threw out her diaphragm
No,
weeks
'cause
ago.
no, I
and
feel
they've
like-
been having an
Listen,
affair,
I don't think so.
and
I don't
then
think so.
I have
trying
it
to
taped
bear.
on my phone. Should
I
you
think
watch it right now?
I
No,
think she.
I threw out my diaphragm to me meant I threw it out
No,
at the
I'm pretty
beginning of this
sure
affair.
she meant,
Maybe
like,
that's
literally,
where
I
all of my
just
feelings
threw
are
it
coming
away.
from.
No, like-
no.
Well, no, because she
So-
just made, to me, she just made that decision when she left Xander. She's like, I
Yeah.
don't want to be with you. I want to be with Lewis, because she realized, like, as she said, the last couple of weeks, like, he's excited her, he's fought for her, he's sacrificed for her, he's done all these things that Xander is not doing.
I'm gonna.
So she, like, picked Lewis, and she knew what he wants, ultimately. Like, the only reason they broke up is because
I'm
of the
gonna
baby.
give a summary of what was said, but basically she comes up, she's like, I chose you from all the things that he just
Right.
said. And then he goes, but you don't believe that I don't want kids. He was actually saying, you don't believe me that I don't want kids. Because remember, he had come to her saying, I'll let go of it. And she
Right.
goes, no. She goes, fate brought us back together. I'm gonna let fate take its course and let fate decide if we should have a kid or not. I just, as in like, she didn't say just, but what she meant was I stopped taking my diaphragm, meaning if she gets pregnant, great. Because there's still a chance she's older
Yeah.
that she can't have a kid. So that's what she was saying
Okay.
when she said let fate take its course.
I did not take that to mean I just stopped. I took that to mean this entire affair we've been risking
No.
pregnancy.
No,
Yeah, I don't
definitely
think so. I don't think so.
I
don't think
was
so at
in
all.
a room with other people who also took it that way. So there's something.
I have the,
Totally.
the 15-second
No,
clip
I'm
on
not.
my
I'm not
phone.
wearing it. Like, well,
Okay.
that's the way it was written and the way it was taken by more than one person watching it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
was-
they may have,
was
you know,
the-
I
and
feel
that
like-
may be the case. At which point, that's like really bad on Sheila's part. The more I think on it, the more I hope that I got it wrong. Then Sheila thought it was completely acceptable.
Right. I mean, I guess I would be surprised to learn that she would have done it earlier because she was sort of
Why?
in.
She's also cheating on Xander.
Right, but
she's
exactly,
like, once a
exactly.
cheater,
So,
always a cheater.
so,
Well, not
so
a great
why
person,
would
not
she?
a great
Why would
person.
she want to open up the possibility? If she's made that decision to be with Xander and that's like it, she's been so confident with that decision. Why would she open up the possibility to having another man's child in that relationship?
And also when Lewis came
like
back,
that doesn't make any sense.
yeah, and
She's-
also when Lewis had come back saying I'll let go of the kids, she said I don't believe you. So kids was never a topic of conversation. It was how she explained it was that she was gonna let the universe or fate let
Yeah.
them decide if they're gonna have a kid, as in I'm now.
Right.
Okay.
And also I feel like I don't think that Xander wants kids either. I mean, he's a
didn't want kids,
horrible
yeah.
horrible person, but I feel like that, was a reason that they got together initially is because, Sheila also until now hasn't wanted kids or like anything to do with kids.
I would never trust her. Like Lewis now, she's just probably gonna go have an affair with Xander
Or just I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
or somebody else.
she doesn't have the highest moral fiber.
Yeah, I've not lived through it, so I can't really speak to it. But I don't think it's unwise to assume once a cheater, always a cheater. If someone cheated on you, if someone cheated with you, they're likely to cheat on you.
True. Yeah, I mean, I feel
How
like
you get them
obviously
is how
people
you lose
can
them.
change,
Yeah.
but yes, I agree.
that I'm not saying
You're
that's
more likely.
100% indicative, but I do say that's not a great start to
Not a
any
great start.
relationship. And
Totally.
like we want Lewis, and I think that's why I'm a little fired up. Also, because I may have misheard a whole scene, but I think I'm a little fired up because I want Lewis to like ultimately be happy. Is anyone ready to ship him and Katrina? Or is that?
I really like Katrina, even when she kissed him on the forehead.
Yeah, I mean, I think they just have such a different, like a big brother, little sister relationship. It's like it would be weird. She's just a little too cold for me to accept her with Lewis. I mean, even Sheila is as well. I mean, I think what was her name? Tara was like the closest thing.
Yeah.
To what we would want. I mean, sans her having someone else's child. Because I feel like he should have someone that's like really warm and like understanding, kind of like a Paula type for him, like a female Dr. Lipschitz, someone that can like talk through his issues. Obviously that not Paula
Katrina,
herself.
I feel like, is more emotional than Paula. I mean, not Paula, than Sheila is.
Yeah, I just I feel like someone that should be there for Lewis. Like he has so much stress in his life. He could benefit from someone who's got like a listening ear.
Quick shout outs in the chat. Emily Norton in the chat. Lewis needs a break from women altogether.
I completely agree.
Hey,
I
well, that's
also agree.
the card Harvey's playing right now, which is
Angels in the chat. Hello all. I think Lewis and Katrina might actually work.
really okay.
That's awesome.
So that
Okay.
ship is not.
I mean, I'm not.
That ship might float. Is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I wouldn't be terribly against it.
I just wish that with Lewis, because a lot of what he does is ego related. I do sense that the Sheila thing is more than just ego. In the beginning, I thought to myself, Lewis just needs the win. He needs to just get Sheila the way he wants to get her. Not that she's a prize, but get her. So then he can get his security back a little bit. And because he started obsessing and then manifesting, and it becomes like this big ball and it becomes a spiral effect. But when he chose not to divulge that he was having an affair and then also chose not to talk about her in a very like provocative and physical manner, I was like, oh, he does love her. He dropped the case, $50 million.
Yeah,
I know. It's.
pretty
I guess I just don't agree with his love, but
I
that's
don't
how love
either.
is.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's what makes it so tough. Is like you don't really choose like who you fall in love with. I mean, you like can choose who you marry and like who you spend the rest of your life with, but a lot of times it's sort of like who you're attracted to isn't completely in your control.
Yeah.
I will tell you though, not that I'm trying to get into predictions because we're not, but as we're talking about this, I don't see this being a happily ever after for them at all.
I don't see how it can
He's
be.
very insecure, and all it's gonna take is little hints of her acting a little bit out of what he thinks is the norm, and then once again he's gonna start manifesting and
because-
obsessing over something new, which is now that she could be having an affair with somebody else.
Well, also, he's insecure and working on it, but she's manipulative.
Yeah.
That's the word. That's like codependency level that you don't want. You don't want like you usually get someone how it ends, if you will, that he's might be paranoid that she's seeing someone else.
Right.
It's what I want to see, assuming they move forward and don't have a child. What I want to see is Lewis self-actualize and realize he's been putting a lot of the weight on his own self-worth toward how Sheila feels about him.
Absolutely.
That he needs to learn that that's not what he wants or needs, and that maybe he doesn't actually love her, or maybe his love for her is not healthy. And I think that would be the best way. I think he needs to move on from Sheila somehow, some way.
Right.
Absolutely.
And now that he's essentially won her completely, I feel like he can be the bigger man eventually and like choose to leave her with someone else, like a new relationship.
Or just choose to leave her, as was said in the chat. He should like not mess with women.
Yeah,
for a
I mean,
minute.
I don't think it's ever a healthy start to any relationship, like from the shambles of a previous one.
Yeah.
That's
Definitely.
usually not the
and
place
that's-
to start.
And that's what I was trying to say is that he's been so busy in this ball of insecurity and I need to get her back, that I'm hoping now that he got her back
Yeah.
and is seeing clearly, he's really going to take a look at her character because he's a smart guy. Mm-hmm. In the middle of all the drama going on, Harvey came up and said, hey, here's a list of companies. Can you tell me why this company would want this judge off the case? And he was like, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, this
Yep.
is why. He can still think objectively in that emotional state. So I'm hoping now that the challenge of getting her is gone, he'll maybe look at somebody like Katrina. Because even when she came and she was like, why did you drop this $50 million case? The second he said why and she realized it was
Right.
because, like, for Sheila, she got emotional and she got teary-eyed and she really cares for Lewis.
So we've been judging Lewis a lot. Judge Rawls. That's how I'm transitioning. Judge Rawls comes back. Judge Rawls, of course, presided over Mike's case. Judge Rawls comes back to Mike and says somebody is attacking her and trying to get her disbarred. Mike brings in Harvey. This is a fun little case of the week that involved like some long-standing stakes.
Yeah, and it was a different type of case, like where it wasn't so pro bono, where where Mike got all annoying about it. It was just like,
And it wasn't
right-
super
Mike
white-collar
being annoying,
corporate
no
law
way.
millions.
right. Well,
Mike's
that's what I
never
mean.
annoying.
It wasn't like just helping the little guy. Where like it was so,
But like,
like.
but it was as
the
clear
old
cut as
style.
this shit. Yeah, it was very much where it's the kind of case Harvey would have handled one way, but Mike has
Right.
has to make him handle it a different way.
Right.
I enjoyed this. This is fun.
I
And-
liked it a
too,
lot.
and to bring back that judge that you used a lot. You
Right.
used a lot the entire season when Mike was facing trial. Was really smart to just bring back. Like, we have a nice wealth of people that would just bring back the judge that they already faced.
Right, and just I think that there is kind of a common thread throughout the episode of like business is obviously important, but like we should also be taking care of like the human interactions and like just doing right by people. Like you can't always like screw everybody over or never like sacrifice things. Like it is sort of a give and take, and it's nice to do people return the favor, basically paying it forward and recognizing when people help you out, and when you're in a position to help them, you can kind of reciprocate that.
I think it was a good episode of Karma.
Yeah,
What we're talking about.
exactly, definitely.
And I think it was important to look at the judicial system from a different aspect, where there are people in higher positions that even though they need to enforce the law, they still use their better judgment. Like when she was talking about the case with Mike, where everyone was pushing the prosecution, the FBI to wiretap Harvey's phone. She's like, had I done that, you would be in jail. And I didn't feel at all like the judge was doing it to kind of not blackmail, but kind of make them feel more emotional about taking her case. It's the point that it does make you feel good that the people that are higher up in the system will use their better judgment to help people instead of hurting people, because it's not always the case.
And she came at Mike with a clear, I don't want to say moral superiority, but like a same that she appealed to Mike not because she could manipulate him so much as like, you and I are on the same plane morally. I can't.
Right.
You try your best to bring Harvey back down to where you are, but you and I are on the same plane morally. I knew it was wrong to allow Anita Gibbs to wiretap you.
Right.
And it's secondary to whether or not wiretapping you would make you guilty or not. So much as it's wrong that she gets to wiretap you.
But you know what threw me off is that he was the 9th attorney that she'd gone to. So it was interesting to me that he wasn't even the first person she went to, that it was that nobody else would take the case.
She didn't want the best. She wanted Mike.
Well,
No, she got turned down.
That's the joke.
right. Well, I mean, I
okay.
feel like Mike is the best, especially for this, because he obviously got it done. But I think it's cool that they recognize that there is that gray area of morality that like needs to be like things shouldn't be just black and white. Like we shouldn't be obviously corrupt is bad,
Yeah.
and like but being so by the book that you can't see anything outside of it, is also not the best way either. So it's nice that they recognize that, and the judge kind of put herself in that position. Like, you should want me to be on the thing. Like, yes, I made a mistake. I'm human. My bad.
Yeah.
But like, you've also made mistakes, and like you need like people who are in that position that can recognize like, hey, that was a mistake, but this is the greater good. Like, you should be. You do more good than bad. Like the whole Mike case was like, is he helping law in general by being a part of the bar? And the answer is yes.
And the interesting part is the growth of Mike and the evolution of his character, starting from when his case started with this judge. It's kind of like looking back, like a reflection, connecting the dots. And speaking of growth, I have something for you guys.
Nice.
Yes.
So if you want to have fun, learn, and grow in all aspects of your life, and for those of you who do, we have the perfect podcast for you. Conversations with Maria Menounos, podcast edition, is hosted by our AFTERBUZZ TV founder and drops every Friday on iTunes. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews, along with secrets, and tips on how to be better in all aspects of life, from health to wellness, career, relationships, finances, and more. Let our Maria be the big sister you've always wanted. Just go to iTunes and hit subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos, and it's for free. Be sure to rate and comment, and when you do, please let Maria know that we all sent you there, the Suits AfterBuzz after show, and Conversations with Maria Menounos, podcast edition. Make sure to check it out.
Yes, please do that.
Nice, yeah.
I don't know how many words iTunes review can and can't be, but Suits with as many exclamation points. Well,
Yeah.
until you've met the minimum requirement, that would be an acceptable 5-star review for Maria's podcast.
It's an awesome podcast.
It is a great podcast.
Yeah.
We were talking about Harvey and Mike. There was a little bit here with the Harvey Mike Donna situation, and then like it kind of felt like spilt milk. But Harvey did kind of come to Mike and say like, "Bro, why did you tell her to just go for it? Why did you tell her to cross a line, if you will?"
Well, at the specific time that he did, because he knew obviously the Paula situation, and although he didn't know that she was gonna go full blown make out,
But he knew. But
yeah,
why?
I mean, he put him in. Kind of sparked the fire, so to speak, a little bit, and kind of encouraged Donna to do something.
I liked this scene where Harvey pretty much confronted Mike about sparking this fire and like, bro, I was in a relationship. Like, what were you doing? And Mike was fairly honest of like, I'm sure Paula's fine.
Right.
Donna's endgame.
And I don't think Mike was thinking she would actually kiss him. I think he was thinking she's gonna go admit her feelings, like, hey, I have feelings for you before you get serious.
Or go for it however you mean. It's important that he knew. It's important that Harvey knew that Donna had feelings.
Yeah, but not in a position where he is very much against cheating and making him a part of, even though he's the receiver of it, she still put him in a bad position.
She's apologized. Like, it wasn't a great move on her part, and she's admitted to that later.
Right.
But it was still important for her to explain to him that she had feelings.
I don't agree with what she did.
I also think that Harvey should be a little bit pissed at Mike, because he did sort of put him in a bad situation. At the same time, I think Mike knew that the outcome, it's like for Harvey to decide for himself. So it is sort of a decision he needs to make, although it's a hard one. You know, Harvey kind of threw out like another scenario with Rachel kind of being like entertaining, like a different
like,
suitor.
hey, that one rich real estate guy,
Logan,
yeah.
from a while back. But I think the better analogy would have been if Harvey found someone else that Mike has seen, like, you know, his ex-girlfriend or something, and like.
But the analogy would have to be the analogy would have to be somebody that Harvey would also have to care about that person and think they'd be better off with Mike.
Right.
Yeah, but analogy aside, okay, she ended up saying that she felt nothing. I know I actually have said this in the after show.
It's a lie.
2 episodes ago. It's a lie.
Oh, that's 100%
You can
a lie.
clearly even see the way she reacts and the way she feels. Harvey definitely feels something for her, and I feel like he's not even trying to hide that. But the point is, I don't think that Harvey should be in a relationship regardless. Even when he's asking Paula to move in, I felt like it was his guilt from having been kissed by Donna. But I did like Paula because I did feel like it was a healthier relationship for him, where it was kind of like slow paced, at his tone, not a lot of drama, which is what he's used to. It sucks if Mike was still okay with knowing what the result is, that he's glad he still did it. Because if him and Donna don't up together, he could have possibly had a great future with Paula.
Okay.
That's not compromised.
Speaking of starting a relationship in shambles, I've been anti-Team Paula this entire time. I think Harvey dating his counselor was never
Right.
a good idea. And
Yeah, I
like
agree.
led
Really?
to
Lewis
this,
and Liv Shots would be a great couple.
but they're a great team.
kidding,
I was like,
I know.
well, I have to defend that.
Obviously
what?
a joke.
No, but like I think Harvey and Paula. I think Mike could have been more outright to Harvey of like, hey, as your friend, I don't think it's a good idea for you to date your psychiatrist. Just dropping that.
anyone?
Dropping
Well, I
that.
mean, I
nugget.
think
Who's he to judge?
in, you know, not so many words,
friend.
he sort of did that by encouraging Donna.
Encouraging Donna,
you
who was
know?
also his friend. I think there was something there. I think
Right,
there was something
yeah.
there, something deep. Like this was like the real meat of this episode to me. Of, like,
Exactly.
the emotional depth to this episode of like there was years upon years of just
Right. And I think,
baggage.
you know, Mike sort of saw that, like, I need to kind of help Harvey see the truth or figure it out for himself rather
Yeah.
than tell. Because if he was just like, hey, Harvey, bad idea, dating your ex-therapist.
Yeah, like, hey,
like,
that's-
don't do that.
that's-
Harvey's going to be like, dude, what? Like, get out of here.
But I would have rathered, and I guess this could be a female perspective, just how we were talking about Sheila and Lewis, that now that Lewis has Sheila, he can look at things clearly. I would have preferred that if Paula and Harvey ended, it was on the terms that he's like, hey, this is not working out.
Right.
This relationship doesn't make sense. Now that it ended based off this ultimatum because of Donna and the kiss, he's always going to wonder, if that kiss didn't happen, would we still be together? How would our relationship be? I would have preferred that Harvey on his own, or Paula on her own would have realized, like, hey, this is awkward. I was your counselor or your psychiatrist. This isn't working out. Or Harvey just pretty much saying what he said in this episode, which is, I just need to be alone and not with anybody. Then it being on the pretense of fighting over a woman kissing him, an ultimatum, and then it breaking up.
That doesn't have to happen if he ends up with Donna. He'll
Don't
never
say
have.
that.
no,
People
I-
in the chat are going to eat you alive.
I feel like
This has been Endgame.
the Paula situation like would have happened regardless. Like, I'm glad that it was sort of pushed to the forefront with like the kiss and then her figuring out.
I'm
finding
happy.
out that,
I'm happy
like,
it happened pretty clear cut. Of like,
Right.
oh no, she's being manipulative. That's
'Cause,
like a
like,
terrible sign.
I feel like down the line, like
She wants to control his entire work life. That's too much.
right. Yeah, and Paula, like, having done the deep dives into Harvey's psyche,
So lucky
like,
I wasn't here last week.
knows, you know, how big of a part Donna is in Harvey's life, and like she's clearly so jealous of that. She doesn't need a kiss really to set her off edge and like pull that kind of ultimatum. Like, you know, she.
Well, okay, let's just think about it logically, okay? She was a psychiatrist but had no idea about the Donna relationship. That means that you go and you trust. She never told.
But she was Harvey's psychologist long enough to know who Donna was.
But
Right.
not that they slept together.
True, but like because
okay, but
she's
listen.
always gonna think that 'cause it happened to her, so she's just scarred of like, I'm always going to be wary about people working with their coworkers that are like attractive.
No,
and,
but
like,
aside from that, I'm saying, just think about this. If we just think about this black and white, Paula, who is his psychiatrist, the person that he divulged all of his feelings to, talked about his mother to, his personal nightmares, skeletons in the closet, demons, never once mentioned he had something with Donna 12 years ago. and all the sessions he had with her. Therefore, there was a reason why Harvey always protected Donna to himself from his psychiatrist. This is before they were emotionally interested with each other.
He was always romantic. He was always, at the very least, physically attracted to Paula.
That's different, though.
But like but that was part of it. That was part of Harvey's fault.
Right.
That he didn't reveal Donna to Paula till like during therapy, because he in typical male fashion always thought he had a chance with the attractive woman in the room. Men do that. It's terrible. We need to stop.
That's an interesting perspective.
Well, no,
I
mean,
thought
I
of
don't
it
know.
as
That's a thing that
opposite.
men
Yeah,
do.
no, I agree with you. I don't think it's necessary to like stop. Like he was clear. Like maybe I don't think it was a conscious thing either. It's just like you don't have to go out and tell like every person that you're
and it
talking
was
to, like,
and
your
it was
entire
super clear
your
to Paula that
past.
Donna's a huge part of Harvey's
See,
life.
Maybe because I'm not a guy, I didn't get that. What I got was that just how Lewis was trying to protect Sheila, even though she's having an affair and that guy was hitting below the belt, and you want to piss Lewis lit off and have him say something nasty, go below the belt, and he still protected her. I took it as Harvey didn't want to divulge that information to Paula, not because he was interested in her, and I'm not saying you're right or I'm wrong, this is what I took it as, that it's because he cares about Donna so much, he wanted to protect her in that sense, not share that personal information with somebody. And so I felt like her reaction when
That's so
he told her.
That's so not how guys think.
That is the opposite.
I mean, that's awesome.
But
I mean,
how do you
hearing,
not know
hearing,
that's how
hearing that
Paula
perspective.
thought? So if I was Paula,
Totally, no, that's.
I
that-
would be
I'm
like,
glad that
wow,
you're
you
here.
even
That's
that
not-
I'm your psychiatrist, you kept that from me. That's how much you care about her, that you protected her from me, and you never told me.
No, it's
Wow, this male-female perspective.
No,
is
yeah, totally. That's way
amazing.
different.
Whereas a
'cause,
male-
yeah, no,
because-
I'm with you, Steve. Like, I totally like. I don't think he was really like that specific.
It
Like,
wasn't
hey,
super-
I may want to hit.
But like
yeah.
when it came time to maybe bring up the fact that he slept
Yeah,
with
he just
Donna,
chose not to.
He
It's
chose
like, why-
not to,
yeah.
and one of the factors I guarantee you was, well,
That she, yeah,
I
that she's
see
attractive.
a potential possibility that I may be able to sleep with Paula. And let's say that's a 20% chance right this second. That becomes
Right.
a 0% chance if I tell her I slept with Donna.
Also, I don't
Or
think
10.
it
Or
has to be
10%.
as clear cut, like as like I want to romantic, like start dating this
I
person.
swear we all speak different languages.
Yeah, I just feel like there are plenty of times where it's like I'm attracted to someone, and there's just like I don't think the relationship will benefit, like even if it's platonic, from me sharing like, hey, guess what, like I totally
my God.
slept with someone last night.
A poker player's guide to being single.
I
You know what I
like.
mean?
I have this romantic horse in the carriage, Princess Cinderella's coming. Thought about Harvey trying to protect Donna because he cares about her so much, and you guys are like, no, he's just. Anyways, next topic. Because
No, he
I mean, it's
he
that's
withheld
interesting
information
that
for
it's
the
like-
possibility of some strange.
I'm gonna lose all faith in that after this conversation.
exactly.
Let's move to the next one.
Let's move on. Speaking of Donna, Donna kind of got worked by a landlord tonight.
Okay, you know what's so funny?
Yeah, she did.
Hold on. When I was watching this, I wrote down. I don't have my notebook with me,
Mm-hmm.
otherwise I would show you guys. I said, "Damn, Donna has skills. Like she's sitting there. No, I know. Yeah, I know. Obviously. So I'm thinking, well, she's being flirtatious. She's probably over the Harvey thing. She's putting herself out there. She called him out. She's like, well, maybe I will come to your office. Boom. She was getting used
Yeah, she got played pretty hard. I mean, she recovered
really hard.
and
She got played twice.
yeah, she did.
Also, that wouldn't have actually held up in court. But nobody wants to go to court with their landlord. If he acted in, she could prove he acted in bad faith, and a judge would have thrown it out. But
Yeah, I
Are
mean,
you sure?
I think the problem
Yes.
with Donna is that she doesn't know exactly what she doesn't know.
she doesn't
because
know.
she's
Whereas
aware.
Harvey or Mike would have known from.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Let's say things went exactly how they went with Harvey or Mike and that landlord. The second that landlord acts in bad faith,
Right.
cool, we're going to court. Peace. We're going to court. We're going to court. I'm going to prove that you acted in bad faith, something I can easily do. And then
But I
this
thought
case will
there
get
was
thrown
a
out.
disclosure saying that if they try to act on a trial first or try to sue them
No,
first.
but what had happened was he showed her a suit, a
that
file.
was fake, yeah.
Well, no, it wasn't fake. He just hadn't filed it yet, but
Yeah.
he claimed that he filed it.
Yeah, so he's fake, yeah.
But she probably still had it in her hand, or probably could have access to it in discovery, that she would very easily in court be able to say, Your Honor, on this date at this time, Your Honor, on this date at this time, the defendant, yes, defendant, because she's suing him.
Right.
The defendant handed me this. It's Exhibit A. The defendant handed me this and said they had filed it. They acted in poor faith. Therefore, we didn't break our lease because we acted upon what they said. You can't hand me a piece of paper and say you filed it and then didn't file it, and then claim I broke a lease based on the information you gave me. You could prove that in court.
Right. But
Especially Harvey could definitely prove that in court.
Definitely. But he was taking advantage of the situation. He knew that she was just recently promoted and would obviously not want to be crawling back to Harvey. Plus, I think he kind of slowly ramped things up, like seeing what he could get away with. Like he started with Donna, like sort of small, like, hey, why don't you deliver it in person? Like we'll see like how dumb you really are.
And he wants to flirt with Donna too.
I wasn't that excited by this scene. I'm not gonna lie.
I was pretty excited by this scene because I think it.
No, I mean I'm used to Harvey, Mike in for the win. It's so exciting.
But what I liked about this scene is we're used to Donna. Whatchamacallit? We're used to Donna getting being Donna. Like, oh my God, I'm Donna. But that's mainly because she had been on Harvey's desk for so long that she had developed a small pond. That she became the big fish in the small pond from Harvey's desk. And she could control everything from Harvey's desk. So I like this scene that you can't just jump to another pond and still be a big fish. And that's what Donna learned with this landlord.
I
enjoyed that. It was a very simple story. It was a very simple story to tell me that Donna is, while I'm in this metaphor, a fish out of water.
They just were like, we bought the airspace, we're going to put tampons up. I was like, okay, like this, it just seemed a little bit unrealistic to close the...
Well, but she had Rachel's help, and Rachel is...
Right, is super smart.
Rachel is like the third best lawyer on this show, probably. Probably the second.
Do you guys notice that they're
She's probably a better lawyer than Mike.
Do you guys notice they're putting less and less clips of her?
She's fourth, because she's not better than Lewis. Like, it's...
Yeah, I guess she's...
Do you guys notice they're putting less and less clips of her? Like, she was even barely in this episode.
Of course. They have to phase her out of the show.
She's...
And then she has, like, one-liners. Okay.
Yeah,
Donna, I'll help you.
Yeah.
Like, what, that's it?
But I mean, she's getting her stuff done. Like as soon as she stepped in, that's when things started to go right with whatever Donna was doing.
But she doesn't say anything. She was in the scene.
Well, yeah, I mean, she is the big gun. Like
she's Donna's help.
Yeah,
she's Donna's help without having to go to Harvey, Mike, or Lewis. So, real quick, we are on iTunes. Y'all should rate us 5 stars, review us on iTunes. This specific panel, this panel has gone through many incarnations. Be sure. So that when people look and see the reviews, that the top reviews are talking about this panel, not previous panels, because that doesn't help the potential viewer. So if you love this show, as I'm sure you do, rate us 5 stars. Let everyone else know that this panel is your favorite panel, because we're your panel now. Similarly, if you're watching us on YouTube, upvote, share, subscribe.
And we love you guys. And we appreciate all the comments and every one of you guys that are in the chat. I know a lot of people were surprised we have an after show. It's confusing because we're on Thursday now, not Wednesday.
No, we're here.
But don't forget,
Thursday,
tell your
friends.
7 p.m.
Totally, yeah.
We're here. Tell your friends. We're going to do all the fun stuff.
Well, it's about to get real. I mean, there's only 2 episodes left.
About that, yeah. But then we'll be back in the summer,
Right.
Suits is happening. We're here. We're ready. Leave reviews. Are we ready for predictions?
Yes.
Let's do this.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Lewis and Sheila, do they survive this spring season?
No.
Like it all? Do we think it falls apart next week or the week after?
No. After that.
Yeah, I think they'll survive this.
Oh no.
Because there's so much more. There's like a bigger issue that has to happen, which is Mike and Rachel are getting married.
But are they getting married this spring?
I think literally like in two episodes.
Well,
she's done. She's done filming. I don't know if it's the next 2 weeks, but after they might have already filmed. She's done after this.
She's done after this. I thought she finished filming like fairly recently.
I'm pretty sure the finale of this section, which is in like 2 episodes, is like the end.
Oh, you think so? I don't know.
I think she comes back in the summer. I think
after the summer she's done.
Yeah, I think this summer is the wedding.
I mean, we will have to double check. I would love that, obviously, because I don't want to see.
I mean, it's in her contract, and I don't know how they're gonna do stuff in 2 episodes. What are they gonna like?
That's what I think. That's how it feels.
Something?
That's how it feels. This isn't. We established last week. This is not the kill your characters show.
Right, but they're getting married and they're
and Mike is leaving fairly soon too. So while we're on to Mike and Rachel, this will be a topic of predictions until it happens. Where do they go? Because they're not gonna. If they break up, one of them would stay at the firm, so they have to stay together. If they leave the firm, or if they get hitched, they'd have to either go somewhere else to leave the firm. They're going to get married and they're going to leave the firm.
I know we all say that it's not going to get killed off, it's not a kill off show. It just wouldn't even make sense for them to move away because Jessica moved away and she was in like the first whole aspect of the last, 11 episodes?
She was
12?
involved, and then there was also a backdoor pilot about Jessica now. So like I don't know, but I think we talked about it last week, and it's still they haven't moved Mike and Rachel forward for us at all that we can speculate any differently. I still think it makes sense that Mike and Rachel get married and then essentially retire to that clinic, so that they're down there if you ever want to pop a number and bring them back once. But otherwise, they're running a clinic that doesn't do corporate law. So we're following Harvey and Donna and Lewis as they do corporate law. And Mike, who's no longer a fake lawyer, that character that character became a fake lawyer, went to the best law firm in the country, found love, got married, got found out as a fake lawyer, not in this order, obviously, and then where else can you go from it?
I think it doesn't make sense. Like there would have to be some big dramatic thing to happen to make him make that decision, not just him getting married, to get up and leave. And I feel like they have not set the tone for anything. So I don't think anything's happening in the next 2 episodes.
I hope nothing happens in the next 2 episodes, but I do think endgame for Mike and Rachel to leave. I've said this before. Once again, they haven't let us anywhere else. I think a big corporate case happens that make Mike and Rachel look at everyone in that entire firm differently, and then they take an altruistic path, leaving the corporate law to corporate law. But then again, how do you do that?
I feel like it's such a big turn. Again, like there's so much that needs to happen, namely the wedding.
Yeah.
If
she's getting married twice this year.
No, and they've been through so much, like with Mike and Harvey. Like I don't think that's something that small. Like I think it would be more of a thing he wants to create with Rachel. Like I would hate to see the break be a bad thing. Like I don't want any bad blood or burned bridges between the main
that's
characters.
what I'm saying. It would be artful, but there'd be a way to have a case happen by which we all stand behind Harvey, Donna, Lewis, and company in their corporate law setting, but that Mike and Rachel change. Mike and Rachel change and decide based on that case that they don't want to do corporate law anymore, and that they move on from corporate law. Not that they harbor resentment for everyone else or that they learn to hate anyone else, but they realize to a certain extent we're gonna become monsters if we stay in corporate law.
I do think he has a point. I just don't want it to end that way. I feel like it's kind of not cliche, but it's like the easy way out. The only reason why I think he could have a point is that in this episode they brought the judge back.
Yeah.
Who was a reminder to him, like the reason why I let you off was because you said you were going to take this opportunity to make a difference. So maybe that's why how we were talking, it's interesting that they brought the judge back. This is the reminder of him starting to manifest something new about making a difference, because he's like, wow, this came back full circle. Here's the same judge that let me go. She's reminding me that, hey, you're supposed to be making a difference. And he's making a difference. He's picking up cases. He's helping out at the clinic when he can, but he's not ultimately doing what he's doing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I really don't know.
It still feels like like I want them to end on such a high note because they're such beloved characters. So I feel like, or my end prediction is that Rachel gets pulled away to a different location, maybe a different job or something, and it's after they get married, so Mike chooses to leave because he wants to be with her. Also,
and if this happens in the next 2 episodes, they've done no work to build toward anything happening.
I would
in the
be
next 2
so annoyed
episodes.
if that happened.
I'd be so annoyed if they just it was this. I'd be annoyed if they didn't devote if they are leaving in 2 weeks, I'd be really annoyed if they didn't devote the next 2 weeks of storylines to something that leads to them leaving. Actually leads to them leaving versus what might happen, which is they just have a scene at the end of we gone now.
They film seasons ahead, so she just finished filming recently in the last couple of months. I'm sure she's filming summer sessions.
I would love that. Obviously.
And the summer ratings on this show are higher anyway. I've noted this was always a summer show. This feels very unlikely we're gonna lose them both.
And think about it from their perspective. They're gonna get more hits after she's princess.
True.
There's people that probably have never watched the show that are gonna be like, I want to see Rachel or Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's crazy how both weddings are sort of happening.
She's getting married twice. Some of us can't even get married once. I can't get married once. She got married twice in 1 year. I mean, just kidding.
Well, on that note, does anybody have any predictions at large before we head on out?
I predict that we know nothing about Rachel.
That is fair. JB, where can the people find you on
you guys
Twitter?
can find me everywhere at Hey John Blake.
And I'm Lina Noory. You can find me all over the internet at Lina Noory.
And as I selfishly said at the beginning of the show, I'm Steve Kaufmann. You can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. It's Kaufmann. I do a lot of shows here at AfterBuzz TV.
You can't tell him
tweet
twice.
about
You already
them
told him
fairly
once.
regularly. I mentioned that I did it selfishly the first time for JB Zimmerman. Lina Noory, I'm Steve Kaufmann. Thank you, and see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.